This week on the Slaptail Squad, we're talking about what you're going to do with that body when it's dead. I mean, you shouldn't do anything with it when it's alive, but basically when it's dead, what you going to do with it?
I think that's called necrophilia. That's nasty.
This is the introduction, Swan.
I know. I'm interrupting the introduction.
Anyway, that's what we're talking about this week. We're going to talk about what some cool things are that people do with dead bodies. Maybe, just maybe, I'll tell you what my top pick is for what to do with the Beeve Man's dead body. We're going to have fun talking about it. It might be a little disgusting. I'm hoping so. Because this is the Slaptail Squad. So let's get slapping.
Slaptail Squad, assemble.
If you're listening to, I can't believe you squeaked your chair right when I was going to say, if you're listening to this. That was Ron's. He just took a big stretch, didn't you? You did. If you're listening to this, you are a member of the great Slaptail Nation, my nation. And who am I? I'm the Beeve Man, master of the universe, creator of all things great and small, and Lord High Commander of the great Slaptail Nation Army. And with me today, he just can't help but make lots of noise. And it's taken him, I don't know how many years now to realize that he could mute his mic without shuffling in his chair right when I'm about to do the intro. My number 2, the Rons.
Hey, Beeve Man, believe it or not, I did mute my mic a couple of times so I could adjust. I'm sorry that one time I did not mute it.
After the fact.
So,
I'm just proud that he turned it back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job, buddy. He's tech savvy.
Listen to you. And Beeve Man, who is that sidekicking with you?
I'm not a sidekick. I'm a co-host, just how you are.
You are a sidekick.
No, she's not a sidekick. That's an elevated status. You're the sidekick.
Yeah, dummy.
You're the sidekick. She's not. That elevates
so
her
when
status.
She takes over, does that mean when she takes over, does that mean I'm her sidekick?
No, she wouldn't take over. When you're not here, she's the Rons.
Yeah, so clearly I'm below you on the totem pole.
Yeah, that's
dummy. But you don't even recognize that.
When did we get Fred Sanford in? That's awesome.
Also with us
predating.
today, the Swan. Say hello, Swan.
Hello, Swan.
Thanks for joining us, Swan.
You're welcome.
Is there a reason why you've decided that it was okay for you to interrupt while I did my introduction? You know that introduction.
I was trying something out. I was trying something new.
That introduction is supposed to be just me talking.
Okay, well, I'm trying something new.
See, that's the part of the show where I tell the audience what we're going to be talking about.
Well, I was telling them something too.
You're supposed to keep that for the podcast.
Okay. I'm sure I can bring it up during the podcast.
Yeah, but now I'm going to probably have to redo the intro.
No, you'll be fine. You're already talking about it, so people will, if you redo it, then people will be like,
no, they don't know. They won't know if I read it. It doesn't matter.
Hmm.
I can do what I want. I am the Lord High Commander of the great Slaptail Nation Army, so therefore I can do what I want.
And he is. I agree.
Okay.
Some exciting news this week.
What is the exciting news?
The Tascam has released its update to the Mixcast 4 firmware, which is very exciting.
Ooh.
It is very exciting. There's all kinds of other cool stuff that they've released that I don't know how to use, which is fine. That's the nice thing about the Tascam Mixcast 4 is that it's basically, they say it's plug and play. Well, you have to make some adjustments. But the cool thing is now, not only does it already had like 8 sound pads where you could put your own personal little sounds in there, but you had to decide.
Don't we know that already?
But you had to decide which sound pad you were going to use for your recording. So you couldn't switch between them during your recording. Once you hit record, you can't switch between them. But with this new update, now you can. So you could load that soundboard up as much as you want and switch between soundboards while you're recording.
Oh, so please enlighten us with what you've done.
Well, I don't think that's... Okay, so on this particular one, here's a good sound.
I'd sure like to fist him.
An old favorite, and that's on one board. But on another board, it's our good friend the turkey. And
just a little.
Yes.
Just a little.
That's correct. So now I can switch between the boards. And here's a board that you probably have not heard. Incidentally, This person has a heart murmur.
Yeah, they got a little
I
problem.
don't know if they
going on.
noticed that when they put that in there. I'm like, I'm sure it's probably just the way they recorded it. But
Yeah.
I would have never caught that.
Well, I wouldn't expect.
Why
you to catch
would
that.
you?
Why
Are
would
you
catch
trained
that?
in assessment?
Are you trained to assess?
He learned that. He learned that when he learned his
That was
combat
for his black
rescue.
belt.
His
That's when he got his black belt. That was part of it. Like, all right, Raz. Now that you've done Konshiwa no fucktard, we're gonna teach you how to recognize the heart murmur.
Grade these murmurs.
Grade these murmurs 2 through 6. What do you got? No, nothing. 1
He
through 4.
wanted to give
I
it.
wouldn't know what I
1
was
through 4?
listening for.
1 through 5. 2 through 10.
He wanted to give it an A, B, C, a letter grade.
Yeah. I give that
A C minus.
C plus plus. Is that so? You learned how to grade heart murmurs when you got your black belt?
Yeah, you know it.
That was
C++.
about the same time you learned the death
No,
touch.
I think he learned that in fueling school as part of his rescue. Like, strip him down and check for murmurs.
Yeah, that's what it was. Strip them down, put penis in your mouth, check for murmurs.
Yeah.
Put thumb in own ass.
So we're
No,
describing
nothing?
the Swans training there.
No.
No, I
No,
don't think so.
no, we're not describing.
No.
So, actually, thank you.
Applause.
So, when you guys were going through medical, whatever, did you guys actually have to do that?
Medical, whatever. Nursing school?
Put a thumb in her ass?
Well,
No.
yeah. Well, I don't know what you guys went through. Did you have to decide
that on my own
whether
time.
it was a heart?
A heart,
so
yes, we
you
didn't
found
have
out
to
what a heart
identify
murmur is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy to identify the heart, but the beats I would have never gotten the
Oh, you would have
irregularity.
thought so. I remember once this is many, many years ago when I was a young man. I was doing an assessment, and I said, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and listen to your heart now. And the family member was in there with the person that I was listening to their heart, and the family member said, and that's where? And I was like, are you really? It's in your chest. You know how you put your hand over your heart to say the Pledge of Allegiance? It's roughly in that area. It's more center, but it's roughly in that area.
Yeah, but isn't it amazing how many people put their wrong hand, like, right? They don't know their right and left, and they just, yeah, I mean.
You got to have a general idea where your heart is. We're not worms. Anyway.
Worms have 5 hearts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're not worms. That's what I'm saying.
Hey,
We don't
that's what
have.
I'm saying. Anyways. Okay, so I feel
If
like.
the audience could see the frustration on his face.
All right, I'm not really a big fan. I'm not really a big fan.
Who's in the house? Oh, it's time to get this
You
party
man in the
started.
house.
yo!
No.
No, believe it or not, I've got a friend of mine that's actually going to be headlining at a rave. So I'm wondering
How
if
do you
he
headline
uses
at a
that
rave?
sound.
I always thought a rave was just a thrown together thing. How do you headline at a rave? Yeah, that's how
They've got these DJs coming in from all over the place, and he's going to be one of the headliners at it.
DJ Thumbhole.
Yeah.
Actually, it's DJ Voidmonger.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess you're kind of doing a shout out to him right now. Then, if you wanted to finish that.
No, I wasn't going to do a shout out at all, but
I mean,
you're the one
kinda-
that put
you
the.
kinda
You
did.
basically did
You
that.
kinda did. So go ahead.
Well, yeah, I guess I
No,
did,
go
but
ahead.
you put the sound there, so.
No, go ahead and give him the shout out. That's fine.
Ron's
So
runs
it
to
would
rave.
be.
Ron's, you going to that rave? You gonna go?
Unfortunately, I can't. It's going to be during the time I'm working, probably.
Probably. It's after
Probably.
it sounds like it's probably after my bedtime.
Mine too.
Yeah. That's weird. The older we get, the more you think we would do, outdoors or doing more, but the more we want to sleep.
Oh, I definitely
Why is
would.
that?
I definitely would actually, but I have such a bad sleep disorder that I am tired all the time. But I've got an appointment with my doctor in September.
Yay.
Time to get back on the
now
time
when
to
he
get back
asks
on the
you to bend
drugs.
over, it's probably the wrong
Not
doctor
that-
you're going to go to.
Yeah, if my sleep doctor asked me to bend over, actually I might for her.
Oh, her.
If you're listening,
Oh, well.
if you're listening right now, just know that if you ask me to,
I would.
I will, and I won't tell anyone.
You're dumb.
I will actually. I'll actually back into it.
So, when you go sleep,
You're an
when you go
idiot.
to the sleep doctor, do they have like a candlelit room and like a soft bed,
Yeah,
some
so they can
soft
see
music
how
playing?
fast they can see how fast I fall asleep, and if it's too fast, then clearly my my machine is not adjusted properly. That's actually a
Well,
pretty good idea.
it takes, I think, the human body about 7 minutes to fall asleep.
It's less than
Not-
2 minutes for
Yeah,
me.
I was gonna say it's not that long over here, and
Well,
I'm
we're
pretty
pretty
sure.
boring, so you
Pretty
probably
sure
want to check out.
Sammy can fall asleep faster.
Oh yeah, Sammy, you can tag. Sammy puts her paw up, you tag it, she falls asleep.
Yeah, she's like, peace.
She's like the best tag team sleeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She sleeps
So-
anywhere, sometimes with her eyes open, like a lot of times with her eyes open, actually.
Ron's
Yes,
plugging the library here. Are you a member of the library in your township?
I am.
Of course you are. Do you have Hoopla on your device to read books?
No, I don't.
Okay. Shout out to public libraries.
Of course.
Of course I do that. So I've been reading the Walking Dead series on Hoopla
Mm-hmm.
because there's about 1 billion of them.
Yeah.
And which got me thinking, of course, while I'm reading it, I love a good Walking Dead story. But the whole time I was thinking about, after all they're killing all these bodies, I'm like, what are they doing with all those bodies?
The author Robert Kirkman, yeah, I like his work.
I thought he was going to answer a question. He was like, I thought he was alluding to that Robert Kirkman alluded to that in his story about what to do with the bodies.
No,
they burn them a lot in the early days.
Yeah, they do.
They burn them.
However, they also use them as sentries.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Later on in the stories, they have them where they're like tied up and out in front. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. If you remember, Michonne originally shows up with like
two of them with
no arms.
And yeah.
Yeah, she and that's pretty interesting why she does that.
Yeah, I mean, it was
at least
smart.
in my opinion.
No, it was pretty smart, obviously.
So she can like walk through and they don't hurt her, but
that,
she
and
uses them to
they react to other ones.
Yeah.
So they're like Ron said, they're an early warning system.
Yeah.
Which shows that they have some sort of a weird hive mentality, hive brain or something. Anyway, I don't know what happens in the comics as compared to the TV show. Anyway, I was sitting there thinking about all the bodies, which of course made me automatically think about body disposal, which of course also automatically made me think about poop, which of course made me think about global warming. You can see how
your brain always goes
mind
to poop.
automatically works. Now, I've had these conversations with the Swan in the past about when I die. Swan, what's the plan with me when I die?
We're gonna cremate you, and we're gonna have a scavenger hunt.
What's the scavenger hunt?
Where we take your ashes and you have designated places that you want us to like visit and drop them off.
Hunt.
Well,
that's not a scavenger hunt. That's just like
a road rally. A road rally. I don't know. A road rally with your ashes. It's like a map of things to do to make your last round. It's not a scavenger hunt per se, but just a like awkward places.
It's more like what do you call that? Where you go from task to task. It's like it's
a task.
No. You got to make it cool. Where like in olden days, like what would the Hobbit and all them had to go do?
A quest.
A quest. It's a quest.
That's the word I meant, not like a scavenger hunt. Yeah.
Well, that almost sounded like geocaching. I'm like, I can do that too.
Yeah, but we're not. So I guess we're planting. We're just drop some here. Like, hey, I want to. I don't know. We had a whole bunch of them that would be
that's
like
even
super
better
awkward.
Because that's even better because if they do try to reanimate the big man, he'll come back as a zombie. So if we got him scattered all over the place, it'll take him that much more to reanimate.
Well, here's the bad news. I don't want to be cremated.
I thought you did.
No,
you changed your mind now.
I just said, here's the bad news.
Okay.
I don't want to be cremated.
I got that.
So why did you change your mind? Hold on, Ron. Wait. I want to know why.
Because there's a better way.
Okay.
There's a better way.
A better way.
Okay. So first of all, we know that burying bodies. Well, I'm not going to say that because then I'm speaking for you guys. I personally think that bodies should not be buried.
Yeah, I don't like that either. It's kind of gross. Like you can just sit there and decay. And why do you want to spend $1 billion for a casket and a cement thing that just to prevent yourself from decaying, even though you're decaying anyway, and you're burying stuff in the ground that's going to be there forever, and it doesn't seem very environmentally friendly.
It's not environmentally friendly. You are exactly right, Swan. Much like poop, burial is destroying our planet.
Well, I mean, I feel like, wasn't it like New Orleans when it flooded or something? They had like a bunch of dead bodies raised up.
Bobbing bodies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's built on a swamp anyway.
Once again, it goes back to biblical prophecies. It does. It goes back to the biblical prophecies of the dead will rise.
Yeah, that's gross.
Speaking of the dead will rise.
Also, as a side note, Gayhead is what Ron's from the Slaptail podcast wants Tremonde to give him.
Speaking of rise.
Rising.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Shout out to JD because we can't. When Little Powder Donut heard that on his podcast, she just laughed her ass off. She had to come home and tell me that. And I'm
She's
like,
it's true.
oh,
It's so
True.
It's
True.
so
He's
true.
got a man crush.
no, it's not true. She just lost
Uh-huh.
it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So there's an estimated annual death. This is from, of course, the internet. Estimated annual deaths in the United States is 2.87 million people per year. Annual. That's what annual deaths means, beep-in. 2.87 million. So I found some different estimates on how many people are cremated and how many people are buried. On estimates of cremation, it was anywhere from like 44 to 57%. So I'm still guessing it's probably actually about 50-50. So 50-50 burial, 50-50 cremation. Or,
Okay.
of course, there's some outlier there on percentages of bodies never found. I don't know what they do with them. I guess they just dissolve them in giant, big 50-gallon drums, hide them in a garage somewhere. It's not taking those into account.
Or the ones that are like left in a field somewhere in a shallow ditch.
Sure.
Okay.
And the U.S. funeral industry, get this, is a $20 billion business.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So here's the problem.
They prey on your grieving.
Yeah, they do.
Oh,
They
yeah.
do. So burial, and this is why burial is an issue, why it takes up so much place, right? First of all, they embalm you, which, as I'm sure most people know, the embalming fluid is poison. Instead of us just dying, and as soon as we die, of course, we're loaded with bacteria, and the bacteria and the enzyme have actions, and the bacteria continues to eat and digest things, and that's why we get all puffy and bloaty.
And it's a natural process, and I mean that's
supposed to
probably a
happen.
good thing that's supposed to happen. And instead, we pump you full of a bunch of chemicals to not do that, and then where does that go? Into the ground. That's disgusting.
Yeah. So otherwise, let's say that we have a pretty healthy body. There's no sort of like communicable diseases from us that can be spread somewhere. I don't know what happens to. I don't really know what diseases you could get from dead bodies, but I'm sure that there's some possibility other than a prion disease, maybe. But I'm sure that it's not good to be around a bunch of decaying bodies. But let's just
What
say
is a prion disease?
prion disease. It's basically we all have prions or prions, and they just have to be.
At first I thought you kind of misspoke. It's meant to say pre-owned, and I'm like, well, what is a prion?
Well, if you listen back to
shut
an
your
old
face hole.
podcast, I can mention which podcast was on. You can go back and listen to it, where I talked about prions or prions. You can actually pronounce it both ways, I guess. Anyway. So as the Swan was saying, yes, that's a natural process, right? Our body bloats. It gets bloated because of all the digestion going on by the bacteria and the gases that they off gas. And then we get buried. And of course, we become compost eventually. It doesn't really get rid of our bones. That takes forever.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's fine. But yeah, I don't know what kind of diseases come from if you're a healthy body, I don't know if it causes any problems with having obviously lots of dead bodies around you. That's something I have to look up. I'm not a scientist. I'm just saying if you have tons of dead bodies, there's probably a better way. But I would agree that not embalming is probably a good thing. So I looked up some statistics on this really cool on YouTube. On the intranet, there's a really cool YouTube channel called SciShow, and this particular video is called "What We Do with Dead Bodies." I like that. Very cool. And according to them, and of course this video is probably like 4 to 6 years old. Embalming fluid this was mine. Basically, it's poison. It's formaldehyde, methanol, some other chemicals, and it kills that bacteria that would normally be eating. So it stops that whole bloating process and the nastiness. But we're on average in the United States putting 3 million liters of embalming fluid into the environment per year,
Ooh.
which is insane. And if you're burying everybody in a concrete vault, that's 1.6 million tons of concrete putting into the earth. And of course, your casket, which could be made of anything: wood, steel, varnish, all kinds of stuff. And we're putting all
my
that.
God.
And so imagine how much steel that is, how much wood that is, just taking up space. And of course, here in the United States, we have more space than other places. But in other nations, you rent or you can lease burial space.
I knew that. They dig it up and they give it to someone else.
No,
or they just put you on top of it.
No, you have to get rid of the body.
Yeah.
You lease it for a short. I think Greece is one of those countries where you lease the space for a short period of time.
And then what do they do with the body?
You have to pay to have it exhumed, and then you get rid of the body, like you cremated it or whatever from that time on, and then somebody else gets that space.
Then that's freaking stupid.
Back to what the B-Man said, and I just did a quick research. It's like handling the dead, the bloodborne diseases or viruses. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Right?
So what
You got
happens? So what can we
hepatitis
get?
B.
Okay. So you can still get. So you're saying once they're dead, you could still get money of the hepatitis
uh,
is.
ga- gastrointestinal intestinal infections. Oh, oh yeah. Oh my God, tuberculosis. I thought
Well,
once
I
you were
mean, they gotta
dead.
have it. I mean, they gotta have tuberculosis for you to get it from them. I'm
Yeah,
assuming,
but you know, you're talking about
just like the hepatitis is.
bloodborne diseases. Uh,
Well, I was just
oh,
wondering what you could get. Let's say that it was a totally healthy body that died. Is there any infectious diseases? I mean, if they don't have one, how would you get
Yeah,
one?
you're not going to get hepatitis if that healthy body that's
well,
dead
okay,
doesn't
yeah,
have
there is.
hepatitis.
Okay, so there, you know, barring it's HIV, fecal matter,
What?
right?
Yeah,
So you got to
poop.
worry about that.
Can't worry about poop.
Yeah, poop, like you mentioned, right?
It all goes back to
So
poop.
Always back to poop.
yeah, it always goes back to poop.
Yeah, but
I mean,
even if you had
it's
it, so even if you had just a totally healthy body and they could just be composted, that's fine. I'm assuming that's fine, right? That's not a big deal. I mean, in the whole, what's the whole? You know, one of the arguments I guess for cremation is that it's destroying every organism that could have been possibly dangerous. It's basically a sterilization process, also, right? Sterilization by fire.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
oh
and
yeah,
the same
like
thing.
yeah, funeral pyres, yeah.
And same thing with formaldehyde, right? Formaldehyde's killing everything. So there's nothing communicable in that body anymore, except now it's just a big lump of poison that's going to seep into our water and kill us eventually, or evaporate, get into our water tables that way, or we breathe it. But the other thing.
Oh yeah, I never thought about that.
Yeah. So cremation was what I always decided I was going to have done. And cremation sounds like a great idea because they've been doing it since the beginning of time. You know, they got funeral pyres. It was really sad, though. What was it, India, that had all those natural funeral pyres that was just taking up all that space? That was really devastatingly sad. With all the people that died during the pandemic. Did you guys ever see any pictures of that?
Mm-hmm.
It was freaking
No,
terrible.
I
It
have
was
not.
fucking terrible. I couldn't believe how many funeral pyres they had.
That's terrible.
Because they weren't using like crematoriums. They actually made funeral pyres.
Mm.
So anyway.
Oh wow.
Yeah, terrifying. So the reason why I think cremation is a bad idea is here's some things that people might not understand about cremation also from this screen. There's another lady out there that does YouTube videos. I'm going to have to get her. I'm going to have to link her stuff also.
Is she the mortician?
Yeah, it's like Ask a Mortician. I
I've
didn't
seen
watch
her
her. I
series.
didn't watch her TED Talk. I need to watch her TED Talk. She's pretty funny. I don't know what her name is.
I think during the funeral pyres there would be that one asshole that shows up with
marshmallows.
Well, in India it couldn't be a cow because
yeah, they're not barbecuing. Yeah, they're not doing any barbecuing, most likely.
Yeah.
So cremation takes obviously a lot of energy. So the fire gets out to about 1,000 degrees Celsius, and it can take like 3 hours or more to totally cremate a body. That is so much energy expended in industrialized nations that cremations in 1 year in the U.S. uses as much energy as that required to go to the moon and back 80 times.
That's insane.
So what I'm actually hearing is we have a new source of rocket fuel to go to the moon.
Burn a bunch of people.
Yeah,
why not?
So, did you hear about the funeral home recently that got in trouble for like mass burning body? Like they're burning stuff without, and it's a local funeral home that got in trouble for burning without having the right licensure or something. And they're just burning tons of them at once, and they're scooping out like, yep,
I'm
there's
sure
your.
that's been done forever.
I mean, that's just so wrong. Like,
well, but you know, there's always stories too of in the crematoriums where people don't want to get rid of their garbage. They don't want to pay, so they just put it in with the people being cremated, or they just throw other shit in there.
Yeah, and I think this one was also doing like people's pets too at the same time, which is totally like a separate thing that you're supposed to do. I'm like, that's so wrong.
I read a story where an older elderly woman was cremated, and she was so small and tiny there wasn't much of her that was left, so they had to smoke cigars and put that in there with her ashes to make it look like it was part of her.
That's stupid. I mean, you're gonna assume that you're not. How are you supposed to know how many ashes you're gonna get back anyway? It varies. Like here's the stat that I have: it's between 1 to 4 kilograms of remains. That's not that much.
No, like 10 pounds of. Yeah.
But you have to remember, the tinier the person. I mean, when we see some pretty frail,
what difference does it make
people.
what difference does it make if you don't get a bunch of ashes?
Yeah, why do you want a big bucket of ashes? Here's grandma.
Well,
I mean, you can put grandma in like a
closure.
Yeah, but
I think it would be closure. It's like, was that all their grandma?
Yeah, my grandma's like 95 pounds. If you come up with something that weighs 80 pounds, I'm like, that's not my grandma. That's a fucking elephant.
Yeah, exactly.
But if there was nothing there left, I mean, out of the
Well, there's
funeral
gonna
pyre,
be something,
or
so you put it in a little, like, cute little vase and call it
like a
grandma.
little Ziploc bag and go, "Here's grandma."
Yeah.
but what
I
the
mean,
fuck
why? What do you
with it
care
then? Yeah, but
anyway?
what do you do with the ashes?
Like, yeah, what do you care? Like, I don't know.
That's not the. No, I'm asking you. What the fuck do you do with the ashes then?
What do I do with them?
Yes, what I just
Well-
said. Yes, I'm asking you.
I mean, I feel like you're just gonna spread them somewhere, or some people like they bury their ashes. I guess like
Well,
they still have their
on top of
funeral
that,
spot.
I mean, some people actually have funeral urns in their house with the ashes there. I mean, I know my mom does.
Here's
From
my question was specifically to the swan, not a generic question asking the whole
So
world.
what
My
am I
question
gonna-
to you was, what the fuck would you do with the ashes?
I'm pretty sure my cute little grandma's got her little plot next to my grandpa, so she's gonna be buried there,
Okay.
whether it's ashes
So again-
or her body.
Okay, so a friend of mine died, and they cremated him, and then they buried him.
Yeah, that's
Why? Now you're still taking. They still had like a little vault, like a little cement vault, and then they put his urn in the vault, and then then they put the top on the vault, and there was a headstone. I'm like, you're still taking up space. Why? If you went to the problem, if you went through the whole issue of getting cremated in the first place, why are you going to then put it in a vault? What the fuck is the point?
I don't know. I feel like some people just want that headstone there to like be a memory. I don't know. And maybe originally they thought they were going to be not cremated and have a casket buried. But then they changed their mind and now.
Here's
But
just
it's
the
also
problem
a
I have
status
with it.
symbol too.
Here's
it's
the
a
problem
status
with
symbol
it.
beyond
beyond
death.
Yeah, you're right. It is, which is stupid.
Yeah.
Because eventually, in 25 years after your death, 50 years after your death, nobody knows who the fuck you are anyway. So why do you need to take up space? Why do you need to have a headstone or a marker or anything like that? I don't understand the whole concept. I still have my cat and my dog's ashes, and I don't know what the fuck to do with them. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't need them. I should just spread them in the backyard where they like to hang out. That's where I
Playing
should
fetch
put
is
them.
probably out of the question.
What?
Playing fetch is out of the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why haven't you spread them though?
I don't know. Seriously. And then my son went and bought an urn for one of them. I'm like, why would you do that? Because I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to keep them forever. And what happens when I die? So what's somebody going to do with those ashes? They're just going to throw them in the garbage.
No. Okay, so I see where you're going with this. Well, let's look at the psychological impact too, because no one wants to let go of the beeman. I mean, really, if you wanted to let go of your pets, you would have gotten rid of the ashes long ago. You still have an attachment to them. The minute you break that attachment, you're just like, okay, I love my pets. I'm done. Then you'll spread the ashes. They're gone. They're gone into the world. Or maybe they're spread out in the backyard, so that attachment has grown weaker and weaker and weaker, but they're still close to you. You still have a strong attachment to your pets, unfortunately, right? And that's the way it's going to be for you, for us, for you, right? We're going to think, the bee man's gone, but there are his ashes. And let's face it, when we go by your urn, I'm going to hear your voice in my head like, Ron's, it's me. It's the bee man.
Respond to that fucking text.
Fuck up.
Jesus.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
And you know what? You can get that embedded as a sound chip in your urn. So when someone comes up to you and says, "Hey man, hey bee man, how are you doing?" It would play automatically to them.
Amazing.
That would be so cool.
Every word of what you just said was wrong.
Anyway, as I was saying,
I think that would be so cool if you had that in your urn.
Anyway,
I like the one company, I don't know, maybe there's more than one company that turns them into trees. Like they give you a bundle of something that you plant into the ground and with the ashes in it.
Just a
and
compostable,
it's
like a green
container.
funeral.
Yeah, like a green funeral. They do the same thing with humans.
Well, I like that idea.
I do too.
Well, what about the other one where they?
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, before you change your mind, before I forget, what about turning his ashes into a diamond?
No, again, somebody's just going to throw that away when they die. if I've got
Not unless they turn.
look, everything
fair
that
enough.
I ever had, somebody else has to either take or throw away. Same thing with even if Swan outlives me, everything I have is garbage. She's gonna keep what she wants and get rid of the rest. And then if she makes me into a diamond, big fucking deal. It's either gonna get lost or something's gonna happen to it, or somebody else when she dies, somebody else is gonna throw it away. It's a fucking waste of time.
Not unless she turns it into a belly button diamond.
On an 80-year-old, who gives a fuck about a belly button diamond on an 80-year-old?
Well, she might
I'm
use
just
the
saying it's
diamond.
a waste. I'm saying it's a waste. The only thing that
Yeah,
there's some other options you could do with your ashes if you decided you were going to waste a bunch of energy being cremated, which I don't recommend. You could have pencils made out of them because we're primarily carbon based. It's like 240 pencils a person.
Wow.
Really? Just 240? That's it?
Well, we're not all graphite, you know.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
you could have it mixed with concrete and dumped into the ocean to be part of a quote natural reef. Of course, you could spread them. Diamonds, like you guys said. I think fireworks wouldn't be a bad idea. Shooting them up with fireworks. But I've decided I will not be cremated. So let's take that off the table. No more cremation for me.
Well, that just
Oh,
puts
the
out our
fireworks
quest.
sounds cool.
Oh no, the quest is going to get cool.
Okay, we're still doing the quest.
We're still doing a quest.
Okay.
All right.
but it's gonna
I
get
kind of
cool.
like the fireworks idea for you, but okay, if that's off the table.
Well, that's still a possibility, but we're not cremating me.
Well,
So
yeah,
just
let's
chunks
strap a
of you.
a dead body
It's just chunks.
to, a rocket, right? And just
Yeah. So as
In
Ron
fact,
said, go ahead. As Ron said, there are the options of green burials. So basically, you're in.
I said that.
He did too.
Okay.
And so did I.
Okay.
You said it about pets. We said it about people.
I meant like in general,
But you
dead
didn't say
bodies,
that, did you?
whether they're pets
Yeah.
or humans.
Anyway, so you take the humans, you put them on ice. You don't embalm them. That's the important part. Hence being green. Put them in a bio bag or a like a wicker casket. Bury them, and then see you later. Ta-ta for now. Shallow grave. They get composted.
Okay.
Seems like a great idea
Yeah.
if you've got plenty of land to do that.
a refrigerated body will keep 3 to 4 weeks. So, you've got 3 to 4 weeks to decide what you're going to do at that point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not going to take that long. Hopefully you'll just get them iced, throw them in a bag, and bury them. Get on with it.
Yeah, go down to the party store, grab a bucket of ice.
No, I was watching some of the ideas that people had where people actually, like the family members, dig the hole, and if they want to, like, so the option of burying them themselves and all that other fun stuff. Yeah, I guess whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not going to come back to the. So here's the two that I want done. One of these two. It has to be legal, first of all. It's not legal in every state, the first one that I'm selecting. But hopefully by the time I die, one of these two things will be legal. And I'll tell you which one I prefer as ranking it by 1 and 2.
Okay.
The first one is called aquamation. Now, aquamation has been around for a really long time, but not for use with humans. They used it to dispose of bodies, animals, pets, farm animals, diseased farm animals. This was really cool. And I guess a lot of veterinary clinics, you do have these also. So aquamation is basically a big metal container that's pressurized. They shove you in there. They fill the thing with water and lye. And then which is, I think, potassium hydroxide. And then they pressurize it, heat it up to, I think it's like 300 degrees, and it liquefies the body.
And then what do they do with that liquid?
Well, then that liquefaction, I guess, goes under some sort of it gets purified or whatever. And then basically they just rinse it out and it goes down the drain.
And it's not toxic at that point.
At that point, it's not toxic. That is correct.
Okay. I mean, that seems like a legit thing that's best for environment.
Well, all it has done is speed up the decomposition of the human body. Because what's the great solvent is water.
Yeah.
So all it's done is speed up the process of decomposition. You're left with bones, and then they just take those bones and they put them in a cremulator. And apparently after the aquamation is done, the bones are super brittle. You could break them by hand, but they make it, do it nicely in that cremulator to crush it up into a fine powder, and then they give it to you.
So, I mean, okay, that's good. You're still getting something if you feel the need to put it in a jar and save grandma.
Well, and then it's not going to use nearly as much energy as cremation would. Not even close.
Yeah, he's right. It's over a 90% energy savings when compared to flame-based, and it uses less water than a single household uses in a single day.
Yeah, or
That's
the,
an
or the
interesting.
average of one person uses in 3 days.
Wow, that is so green.
Yeah, and
That
then
is
but people
really
are
green.
discussed. But the people say that there's quote an ick factor of, oh, I don't want to turn grandma into green stew. Oh, that's what's going to happen to grandma anyway.
Yeah, what
So
does it
what's
matter?
worse is either you bury grandma in a green way, and that's what happens to her. She decomposes, which is what is the natural process. Or what exactly do you think happens to grandma when you have her embalmed?
And
What do you think happens to her body fluids when she's embalmed?
Yeah, that's gross.
Those body fluids inside the body are replaced with embalming fluid. And where do they go? They go down the drain.
Yeah.
So you
Same thing is
them.
happening. It's just even actually more disgusting if you think about it.
Yeah, because now what you've done is you didn't mummify grandma, but you did make it harder for her to be decomposing.
And they put all that stage makeup, that cremation makeup on her, so she doesn't even look like grandma anyway. And it looks like
what do they call it?
Plasticizer.
What do they call that, Clay? You used to do horror makeup, right? Isn't that what we said, Ron? Horror makeup?
Yeah, but I used
like WHORE horror.
Yeah, I used I borrowed
like liquid
techniques.
latex and all that.
Yeah, I used liquid latex.
Yeah, so
nothing too complex.
Oh, and back to the whole cremation thing, and this is why this is better than cremation. Also, is because you can extract body parts too. Like if I had I've got an ankle or whatever, and metal in my ankle, you can pull that out. Just like mercury fillings, that's the big thing with cremation. People still have mercury in their fillings. There's still people running around with mercury in their fillings. And when you burn that, mercury goes into the air. Mercury emissions, again, contribute to air pollution. We don't want to breathe in mercury. Mercury makes you crazy, by the way. So that would be, but you're not going to have that problem with aquamation. You just pick it out.
It'll just be there, and then you can dispose of it. Yeah.
Dispose of it in biohazard or metal hazard, whatever they use for it. So you don't have to worry about that little problem. So that's my number 2 pick. Turning me into stew.
Now, let me stop you right there, right? Before you go on to number 1. Are you somewhat religious on that concept?
I mean, on the fact that you're going to tell me that the Catholic Church doesn't allow aquamation?
That and a few others. So,
yeah, who gives a shit what they think?
All right, fair enough.
I mean, if they want to be asses about it, I guess we should all be crucified. Well, I gotta go out how Jesus did. Somebody stick a spear in my side. No.
Well, okay, but
Jesus. I mean, do you think really, if you get liquefied, you're gonna go to hell because you didn't get cremated or embalmed and buried?
Remember, you were made in God's image and is viewed as a desecration of God's image.
Yeah, but a lot of those same religions said the same thing about cremation, and then they eventually allowed cremation.
I'm not against it. I'm just like,
no, I know what you're saying, but I don't care. I don't really give a shit.
All right, then that's
cool. A lot of those religions also allow pedophilia, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of religions too don't allow cremation either. You have to be buried. You have to be buried.
Yeah, or like they don't allow. Some don't want you to be embalmed, like the Jewish people or whatever.
Well, Judaism, Islam, even Eastern Orthodox Church, they don't allow cremation.
Islam.
This is weird though. What?
Islam doesn't allow cremation?
No, Islam forbids cremation of the deceased.
Interesting.
Which is really bizarre because that's the only way you're going to cremate somebody anyway.
Right.
If they're deceased.
Usually. I mean, that's the most legal way to do it.
Yeah.
Although there are religions that used to, the women would run and be, jump on the funeral pyre. And apparently those have happened as early as the recorded cases as late as the 1950s, but they say they might still happen.
Wow. Now, I didn't know this one. Desmond Tutu was aquamated per his wish.
Yep.
That was interesting.
That's my number 2 pick.
Okay. So
all right, let me lie first. My number 1 pick. Actually, I have two number 1 and number 2 picks. If we lived in a perfect world and it was good for the environment.
Okay.
My number 1 pick would be the Viking ship, even though I'm not a Viking. So I guess it would be a little Aztec ship. I guess I don't know. In that case, they got to throw a flaming spear onto it. That would be dope.
Yeah, but did the Aztecs have that? Did they?
Again, I just said because I'm not Viking, we would have to make it a Mexican ship. In other words, I'm making my own thing, Rons.
And why shouldn't you?
Try to
Because
follow along.
you're dead anyway. So anyway, okay, cool. I'm on board.
In an ideal world, I would do that, and I would do it in a suit of armor, either like a custom-made suit of armor, or I would go old school and have a suit of armor but look like Darth Vader in the final fire pier of Return of the Jedi.
Oh yeah, be cool.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
And then you know what?
Helmets left.
Okay.
And then what we could do is get a little hologram generator of you
He thinks he's going to outlive me. This is what he said. He keeps saying what we're going to do is he's going to outlive me.
I might not outlive you, but I think for future reference, there should be a little hologram of you standing there, silently just nodding in acceptance.
With me and Yoda? Just me, Yoda.
You and Yoda and Obi-Wan.
Me, Yoda, Obi-Wan. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
That'd be... Oh, and the Mandalorian.
Well, he'd have to be dead, so he can't... I mean, he's still alive, so...
Okay. But still, that'd be really cool.
That's my number one pick if it was a perfect world and it wouldn't infect the environment in any way, and everything has been reversed and is now a green, beautiful planet. Number two would be the Tibetan sky burial. And in Tibet, Mongolia, Nepal, that's where they just place your body on a mountaintop and let the wildlife eat your flesh and your organs until they're all gone. And then they take your bones, grind them up, mix them with barley flour, make a cake, and let the birds eat that too.
I mean, that's pretty...
That's so fucking great. That's great.
I mean, that's pretty
so we call that a wild
environmentally
animal
friendly.
attack.
Not when you're dead. Like, just eat the carcass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't die out in the wild.
Back,
they just
man.
transport your
No,
body.
I'm not dead. I'm already dead.
No, he's not like gonna go live in a cave for a year until he dies so that happens. No.
Yeah, they just the Tibet monks just leave him out in the wild and they just whistle like, here he is, go for it.
No, I'm dead. I'm dead first.
Okay.
I don't think you were following along.
I would hope
I don't
so.
think you were following along.
He wasn't. He wanted.
So those are actually my numbers. That's my number 1 and 2 picks if it was a perfect world.
Okay.
But my number 1 and 2 picks in a not perfect world, which is what we have right now to protect the Earth, is Aquamation as my 1 or 2. But number 1 will be right after this message. Hey there, members of the Great Slaptail Nation. It's me, the Beeb Man, and I'm here to deliver you a message from beyond the stars about our sponsor for this episode, Swiss Navy. No matter who you love or how you love, Swiss Navy products set the bar for sexual enhancement. There's more glide, more comfort, and even products for longer-lasting pleasure. Swiss Navy has a wide range of premium products to choose from for whatever amount fills your hole, if you know what I mean. My favorite product is Swiss Navy's silicone lube. Get it, use it, love it, and never be dry again. Once again, that's Swiss Navy at SwissNavy.com. And in your order comments, let them know the Slaptail Squad sent you. Swiss Navy, no matter who you love or how you love. Adios, mooch fuckos. All right, so back to my number 1 pick. I think this is the coolest way to go for them to what to do with your body.
Okay.
All right. I will also mention that this is not legal yet. So it has to be in widespread use. I really definitely think it should be in widespread use. Let me explain the process. It is called promession. And basically, what they do is they take your body and drop it into a big container of liquid nitrogen.
And it just like disintegrates you?
No. Liquid nitrogen does not disintegrate
you, but like
it freezes you.
Yeah, so that you can bust you like a freaking...
So then, see, this is what I mean when I said I'm going to explain the process.
Okay, I just wanted to hypothesize. Never mind. I'm just going to be quiet over here.
As someone who's worked with liquid nitrogen and liquid oxygen, that wasn't too far off the part where they just deep freezing you, they break you up.
Yeah, there might be a point in time where I actually explain the process.
Okay, so go ahead. You want to explain the process?
Well, I was planning on
Okay,
it,
go
if that's
ahead.
okay.
Go ahead.
So then
I haven't had a good interrupting moment.
they
long
put you
time.
in a device that will vibrate you, like a vibration table or something like that, and they vibrate you at a high rate or at the appropriate rate, the vibration setting, because we all
like
break.
the paint
All
shaking
things,
machine.
yeah, all things break at a certain vibration, right?
Yeah.
So they vibrate everything until you break into bits, and then they place those bits into a vacuum, and that vacuum, not like a vacuum cleaner, but like in a vacuum, and that removes all the ice/water that evaporates out. And then what's left is now they've got those pieces, and then they can remove all the parts from you that are artificial, like your artificial hip and your fillings and all those other things. They take all that out of there, and then what's left can be, broken down and put into a compostable container, and you can bury it. And then it's compost within a year.
Okay, that seems kind of fun.
But it's not apparently legal yet. So apparently the company that's doing it, and hopefully they're farther along than I heard about, is that they've done it with pigs. So hopefully it will be widespread by the time I'm an old man, because I think that that's a great way of doing it. So those two things, aquamation and promession, I think are the best options.
Well, bad news on the Promession. The company was liquidated in 2015 without being able to produce a functioning module or facility.
I think it's going to
Not
happen.
that it
though.
still can't be done.
Sure. I mean,
Yeah, it
even
can
if they
be,
have,
yeah.
all they have to do is, I mean, even if they get it's like anything else, right? They have the idea and somebody else can make it. They're just going to have to pay those people if they copyrighted it. Obviously, if they copyrighted the idea, they're going to have to pay those people. But I think it will be done. I think it'll be made, because I think it's going to be really helpful for the environment in the long run. Just like, I mean, aquamation, I think it'd be helpful.
Both are very green. I could see that. It's almost like cryogenics with the liquid nitrogen, but instead of being alive,
right, they're going to break you apart. Yeah, because they're just going to break you apart. I mean, to me, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, the whole vibration that, everything breaks at a different vibration based on the wave, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm not a scientist.
So would you like the Beach Boys playing good vibrations in the background as this happens?
I don't give a shit about the Beach Boys. Why would I care about the Beach Boys? What am I?
Well,
70?
I mean,
well, you might live to that.
Yeah, but I'm not 70 now.
Yeah. He'd probably pick some cool music to play.
Yeah, not the Beach Boys.
Well, okay,
Maybe Ron's is a big closet Beach Boys fan.
I'm not a big fan, but I do like their music. So, as long as we're planning out your demise, what type of
we're planning
music
out my demise?
We're just planning on what to do when he's dead.
That makes it sound like you're planning my death. We're planning your demise.
Well, okay, so we're planning out what happens after you die. But how do you want to be remembered? Now, you got the scavenger hunt going on, but what type of music do you want
to
to
quest.
It's not a scavenger hunt.
A quest.
You don't have to find anything. It's a quest. No, let me say this about the
what type of music should we listen to while we're on this quest?
Oh, whatever you want. I don't care. Whatever you want.
Oh, no. Something that's got to honor the Beadman's memory.
No, but see, I like lots of music, so I would have to. I'd have to make you a playlist. It'd have to be
I would suggest you do that.
It's gonna be rock. It's gonna be hip hop. It's gonna be 80s rock.
All the better.
80s ballads.
Have a montage.
Music.
Maybe a little montage.
I like 50s rock.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. It'd be a whole bunch of
stuff. And every now and then put a little mixy in there.
Some Tom Petty. Yeah, a little bit of. Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna do that. Let me see. A little bit of. Yeah, occasionally, every once in a while, I'll be like.
No.
Yeah, no.
And you know what? While we're on that quest, that little alert might help us stay awake, so we don't wind up.
Maybe that's when we spread it. You just hear that little. Yeah.
Yeah. No. No, I didn't miss. Oh, this is what I was going to say about the funeral industry. This is what really bothers me. Funerals, much like weddings, I feel like are a huge waste of money.
Agreed.
And you can tell that they just, like Ron said, they just manipulate those people and they just take advantage of them just to get a shitload of money.
Yeah, and are totally capitalizing on people's grief.
And here's the problem with that too. Like, I really want to have this conversation with my parents to find out if they've got their funeral all planned out. And I'm looking at it in two different ways. One, if they've already got everything planned out, have they paid for it? Now, if they've already paid for it, I would like them to try to get their money back.
Yeah.
If they haven't paid for it And even if they give me their last wishes, I'm not going to do it.
No.
Because I'm not going to spend, I'm absolutely not. There's no way I'm giving a shitload of money to the funeral industry to take advantage, to get just tons of money for shit that's not necessary. You know,
even though they've already taken care of all the expenses.
Well, like I said, there's two different things. Like I said, if they've already paid for it, I'd rather have the conversation with them. One, they're not going to put me in charge. Because if they did, I would tell them straight up, I'm like, look, here's the deal. I love you, but there's no way I'm going to let you pay all that money for something that's completely unnecessary. It's not necessary.
Like, we don't, like, what is that even for? It's for closure for your family, right? Isn't that what the funeral is really for?
Yeah, you celebrate the life that was lived.
But we don't need to have your closure in a $10,000 or more casket.
Yeah, the average funeral costs anywhere from $7,000 to $12,000.
Yeah, and you know they're going to try to upsell you on everything while you're tearful. Like, oh, I think your father would have wanted this. I'm like, yeah, he might have wanted it, but I don't, so we're not doing it.
And I don't need that photo of his casket at the end that's framed with gold. No, I don't
need all that.
Let me ask this of you, B-Man, because this will apply to you, but not the Swan. Are you going to get a funeral, a military funeral?
Yeah, but you don't have to be buried to have a military funeral. You can have a military service and not be buried. You can be cremated. You can do whatever. Yeah. You can still have them do it.
But you got a plot given by the United States government.
Yeah, we don't have to use that either.
You don't have to pay for that. That's already given to you.
I know these things. Yes, I know.
Yeah, and I can be there too.
Yeah, as long as I stay married to you.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're not married, you can't be there.
Oh, if I want to be, I can.
I don't think that's appropriate. You know, that is legal, actually.
I know.
If we get divorced, you actually can be. That's terrible. That's terrible.
You'll be stuck next to me for the rest of your...
Thank God I'm actually not there. I'm actually gone in the universe.
I know that...
Anyway, so like I was saying is, if I had this conversation with my parents, and I think I should have it with them, I would tell them, one, don't put me in charge. And two, if you put me in charge, I'm not spending this money. I'm not doing it. Sorry.
And it's not even because you want it for yourself. It's just a fucking waste of money.
Yeah. Why should I keep building an industry that doesn't need to be in existence? One, if they're not going to make the earth better, they're not making the earth better. They're making it worse.
Yeah.
I'm not going to contribute to that.
So this is really cool. This goes back, this is what you're saying is, do you have to pay for your parents' funeral? No, as a child of the deceased, legally, you have no obligation to hold a funeral. And there's no law that states you have to pay for a ceremony.
Well, of course.
So there you go.
Why would we have to pay for a ceremony?
Legally, well, I don't know about
you don't
morally.
Have to do anything. You can be buried in a mass grave. The county can bury you.
Well,
you can be buried in an unmarked plot. Again, a waste. It's all a waste.
I know a lot. I've watched a lot of old mob films that's how a lot of people got buried out in the desert.
Yeah, I'm just saying that if they said that even if they had all those wishes, I wouldn't do them. There's no reason. I'm not doing it. Sorry, I'm not fucking doing it. If you're listening, Mom and Dad, I am not going to spend that fucking. I don't even want to spend a fucking dime, honestly. If we can liquefy you, we're liquefying you. I will spend money for doing that, and then they can spread you over a garden somewhere out in Virginia. That seems reasonable. Don't keep my body parts. Bury them, spread them. Go on the quest.
Okay. Well, are you going to talk about the quest?
I haven't decided where. I haven't decided all the places in the quest.
Okay, but I thought you had some good ideas. What were they?
So I forgot what they were. I forgot.
Okay, so you don't want to be cremated, right?
No.
So,
well, I have to be. If I die, one, aquamation has to be legal in every state, which is only legal in like 20 some states.
So we'll just.
So can we just drive you there? We're gonna rent a awesome car and drive you up weekend at Bernie style.
Don't quote me on this.
You have to have a permit to cross state lines.
Don't quote me on this, but I think the transport of a dead body is legal.
I think you have to have a special license. Don't you have to have a permit?
No, I don't think you do.
Go across state lines with a body.
I don't know that.
I don't know. You're not going to learn anything by listening to our podcast. Disclaimer. You're not going to learn anything by listening to this podcast.
And don't take our advice about driving dead bodies around.
Don't be driving a dead body around across state lines because I'm not sure it's legal. I'm sure each state has its own rule on going beyond state lines with a dead body. I don't know. I don't know these things. I don't remember what my quest was.
I don't know. You had some really funny ones, and I can't remember. Like, I feel like I wrote them down somewhere, but
I feel like you had to like leave them in a not in a like certain restaurants a little bit here and there.
yeah, but there was some embarrassing ones too.
Yeah, I had
like,
stuff that they had to
take
do
it
that
to
was
the
embarrassing.
take it to the strip club.
Yeah, it was
I
like
mean,
It was like going to a casino and leave part of my ashes like down the carpet in the casino or some shit like that. I don't remember.
yeah.
It was all goofy shit.
Now, on that, I know you're against embalming, but have you seen some of the embalmings that they've done with people to make them look lifelike, like they're playing video games or stuff like that, sitting in chairs?
No, I have not.
Yeah, it's an actual real thing. And I saw a couple of pictures, and they look really waxy. They look really artificial.
Well,
But
because
if we're going
once
to take
you're
you to a strip,
once you're pumped with embalming fluid, you are artificial, basically. I mean, it's
well, yeah, I get that. But if we're going to take you to a strip club, we might as well. It's like Weekend at Bernie's, basically, with the bead
well, if you
man.
want to do that,
There
you
it
could always
is.
do. If you want to do that, you could always do like plastination, like they do with the bodies exhibit, where they pump you full
Yeah,
of
and that,
pump you full of
that's one of those
polymers.
things
They could
that,
just pose you.
and we could do that with you,
I don't
right?
want to. Why would I? I don't want to do that. You've not been listening.
I have been, but you're dead. What
Like
the hell do you care?
taxidermy.
Yeah, I mean that's the
Yeah.
problem. I mean, you shouldn't go the complete opposite when I'm saying like destroy my
He
body, and
wants-
you're like, no, we're gonna entomb you in a mausoleum. Oh, well, that would be
Well,
totally fucked
like
up.
you know what? Just like you said,
in an awkward
to your parents'
position,
wishes.
like bent
Yeah.
over with Ron wants his bent over with his butt plug in place.
Whoa, no, I don't.
No,
Maybe the bent over part, not the butt plug. But yeah, I mean, let's face it, you're not going to honor your parents' wishes. Well, Beef Man, as much as I respect the hell out of you, you know that to be true. Why would I want to honor these wishes? I still would take you to a strip club.
I really feel like not honoring my parents' wishes if they want to be buried is much better than you doing the opposite and destroying the planet by entombing me in a mausoleum and undergoing
No, I'm
plastination.
taking. You know what? I am just going to take you to strip clubs or wherever, and
I
then
don't
when we're
think
ready,
you're going to outlive me. No offense.
well, only time will tell.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've got a pretty good idea that you're probably not going to outlive me. If you want to watch another really
Betty
cool
White
video,
used to say that.
if you want to watch another really cool video, there's another one out there that's called
I do.
10 Bizarre Funeral Rituals in the World. Top 10 Weird List. There's some pretty good ones in there. One was really cool. The Toraja tribe in Indonesia, every so many years, they didn't say how many years go by. You'd have to look this up more closely. They dig up their family members, wash them, groom them, basically give them a makeover. And if there's any repairs that need to be done to their coffin or they need a new coffin,
I did see that. Yes.
if there's any, and then they put them back up in the coffin. Actually, I think first they take them to where the place they died, then they walk them to the village, and then they take them back and bury them.
that's
Don't they
gross.
take pictures with
Like,
them too as well?
Look, here's where you got your head bashed in. We're gonna bring you back. You remember this?
That's
Remember?
terrible.
Oh, okay. Well, let's take you back.
No,
Let's walk you back.
there's a ritual. What did you? I think it may not be that tribe, but I think it's actually going on today.
Well, I didn't
Where they
say
dig
this.
up the body.
I didn't say that they weren't still doing this. I never said that they weren't still doing it. I just said this is this tribe. Here's another really interesting one: the Philippine Fugus skinning of the dead. This one's very similar. So after they die, they wash them up, they dress them, they sit them in a chair by the front door for like 8 days. Then they remove their skin and bury the skin under the house of the deceased, and that's supposed to be good for fertility.
That's gross.
There's some other ones. I also saw another one where they bury people in trees in big baskets.
And then just like,
They're just buried up in there in those big baskets.
yeah,
I
but
imagine those baskets get really leaky after
I was
a
gonna say,
while.
then what happens? Like raining
It is just
guts.
effluents draining out of the basket. I'm sure that's just great.
don't want to take a nap under the tree.
It's just a big basket of human stew after a while. Yeah, that's not. I'm not gonna go that way. I'm gonna go with the. I'm hoping promession is a thing. If not, you guys might have to drive me when I'm dead across state lines if it's not legal in the state that we live in currently. I would like to be goo. I would like to be stew.
Okay.
If I can't be frozen. Stew, if not frozen.
Actually, when you were describing the Torah tribe, yeah, that's the one I remember. And you know what? I would
Good
be
for you,
honored to
buddy.
drive.
Good job, Ronz.
Yeah, yeah. No, I remember reading this a bit back. This is bizarre. However, who would you like to drive you across state lines to this ritual?
Well,
Because
if
I'm willing to do it.
you are not going to outlive me. I can guarantee. I'd be willing to bet my entire fortune right now that you won't outlive me.
Unless you die in some traumatic
Yeah,
event.
unless I
but,
die in some
I mean,
traumatic accident.
that hasn't
you are
happened
not
to
going to
you
outlive
in
me.
your 27 brushes with death already.
Unfortunately,
So
cannot die.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah, it's
What
very
is the
possible.
secret of your immortality?
I have no idea. God doesn't want me. I don't know.
For someone who's not religious, now you're believing God. That's interesting.
Who said I didn't believe in God? You asked me if I was religious. I'm not religious. I believe in God. I'm not religious.
Oh,
I'm spiritual. There's a
right.
huge difference. Huge difference. Spiritual person.
So let me ask you this then,
No.
along JD's podcast. When you die, do you think your spirit will go to a different plane or will it hover around here on this planet?
I don't know. I only know that my energy will join the universe. That's all I know. Now, what form of energy I take, I am not sure. But if I can go all bounce about the entire universe, that'd be pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, that's my goal. I like that one.
When you die,
I just don't know.
When you die several years before me.
Of course.
Yes, of course.
No, why not? We could do the living podcast for the undead.
Yeah. How about you, Ron? How do you want to go? What do you want us to do with your body when you're dead? Suggestions?
I really hadn't given much thought.
You probably should.
I really didn't.
It's about time to do that plan.
You're right.
I think people should talk about it early on, really. They really should.
No, I agree. I mean, we address it in the military.
Yeah.
When you ever have to go TDY or to another place, you have to sign a power of attorney over, right, to somebody. And then you have to make sure that all your bills are taken care of pretty much. But if you die, pretty much that part, your funeral expenses are paid for by the military.
Yeah, but I've never been asked what I wanted done. They've never asked me that. And they never asked me that, what they wanted done.
I guess I would also go in if you created a last will and testament. Yeah. I guess it would be included.
Yeah, I never did a will when I was in, which is
I had to.
I never did that.
I had to do a power of attorney and a will.
I did the power of attorney, but I never did. I never said specifically do this with my body when I die or anything. I never did any of that. I should have, but I don't have to worry about it now. The Swan knows what I want done. Yeah. Swan, what would happen?
The quest.
Let me ask you this question. And this is probably a normal thing. What would happen, do you think, if I said what I wanted done and I died tomorrow and my family fought you about it?
I would just do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck them.
I mean...
And you know what? I would say, and I would whisper to the universe, who's right now, motherfucker? I outlived you.
That's all. That's where your priority is. That's your priority.
I would probably say that through streaming tears because I would have lost a very dear friend of mine.
That's nice. The first thing that you decided to do was...
You're like, oh yeah, I outlived the beef man. Yeah, take
Look
that,
at me.
Bitch.
I outlived the beef man. Great.
I feel really good about myself for being an asshole right now.
Nicely done.
But you know what? How many of us would expect that to like? What do you do now that the beef man's gone? I'm like, I really don't know. I mean, honestly, we've lost friends. None of us.
Yeah, as his dying wish.
You know what? Get your butt checked.
Yeah, that's probably what you're going to
do. You were just looking to weasel that way in somehow.
No, I feel like your family would probably be in agreement with whatever I wanted them to.
Would you have a funeral?
No.
Good. Would you spend an exorbitant amount of money?
No.
Excellent.
I might have a party after for you just for like closure for
nobody
people.
Comes. They're like 4 people.
Yeah, like the normal like household thing. We're like, hey guys, want to order a pizza? Like,
yeah, and my dying wish is that everybody has to have Hawaiian pizza at my funeral.
Oh.
Everybody, I don't care.
Oh, that'd be cool.
You all have to have pineapple on your pizza. You have to eat it, at least one piece. You can't order anything else.
So, who would you like to come in honor of your memory?
I don't know. I don't have
He
any
has
friends.
two friends.
I have two people I talk to, pretty much.
And
You
that's
have
okay.
more than 2 people.
Not really.
Yeah, no, you do. I mean, you've got your dojo family, you've got us, right?
Anyway.
You've got.
Anyway.
Well, I guess that's about a couple people. Anyway,
Oaxaca.
Oaxaca, and then of course you got
No,
you got
you're not
JD out of the West
following the
Coast.
rules of Oaxaca.
What is Oaxaca?
That is
Again.
the safe word. We
When it
change the
gets all
subject when we say
serious
Oaxaca.
and sappy, then this is
Oh,
a change of subject.
The word is
So what-
Oaxaca.
Oaxaca.
All right.
Anyways,
Anyway, so Ron, your
Anyway.
assignment is to watch the movie I Love You, Man, because I want to talk about the great idea of the bromance on a podcast.
Okay.
All right. And as we have stated before, in the future, we're trying to get some guests to do a podcast. I'd like to do at least 2 episodes about fake martial arts today, and basically making fun of each other and the martial arts we practice. But we need people of different styles. So I can't do it with everybody who's in my class. That won't be a very interesting one. I got to do it with a variety of people. So I've got 2 guests lined up so far. It will be me and the Rons and some guests. I'm trying to get some other people from other martial arts.
I mean, if you're interested, you could reach out. But if
Yeah.
you're going to get butthurt if we make fun of you, don't.
Which the Swan is saying we metaphorically because she won't be in the
I mean,
podcast.
we as a group, not me.
Except you won't be in the podcast.
I'll be here in spirit.
And I don't even know why you're talking, because what I was going
Because
to
I
say
like
is
to
exactly
interrupt.
what you said,
Well,
even though
see,
you
I
kept
knew what
talking.
you were going to say.
So what I was saying was, if you're interested in partaking in this podcast, please shoot me an email at slaptailsquad@gmail.com. You can also send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. You can find us at Slaptail Squad. And of course, you can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts. Our primary listeners are on the Apple Podcast app, on Spotify, and of course on our website at the Slaptail Squad at buzzsprout.com. And I would like to thank everyone for listening. This is the Bead Man saying, adios, muchfuckos.
Bye from the Swan.
Stay sane, people. It's a crazy motherfucking world out there, and be men. Thank you. I don't know how the JJ works. You had to fucking play that, didn't you?